everyone. Welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show. Today, we're going to have a discussion about Danasyariah. And joining me today is PT Danasyariah Indonesia Business Director, Bapak Janoearto Alamsyah, or better known as Pak Toto. Good morning, Pak Toto. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning, Pak Paul. Thank you for inviting me today.
Indeed. It's great to have you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Danasyariah. What exactly is it? Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, Danasyariah basically is a part of the peer-to-peer financing. So if you look back, like 5 years ago, government through OJK has initiative to create another system to finance people, especially for those people that have a problem when they access the financing system. So they can use these peer-to-peer financings to get the financing. So we call it alternative financing. So basically what we do, we utilize the technology. So just imagine, you just sit and relax, you look at your gadget, and then you just can, browse our website and our application. Then you can see the options for you to finance or to lend the projects that we have. And we always curate and assess the projects. So we just look at the people that come to us, these developers, the property owners, they will come to us and then they ask for the financing from us. Then we use our technology and then we use our resources to assess the feasibility of the projects, and then we offer to the lenders and to the investors. So basically that's what we do.
So it mainly focuses on the property sector?
Yes, correct.
You're lending.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is very interesting to me because most of the time when we talk about investments and lending, we're seeing it from a borrower's perspective.
Correct.
However, here we are focusing more as a lender. So what are some of the benefits of joining Danasyariah as a lender?
Yes, of course the benefit, what we offer to the people, to the lenders, is the security, because the underlying of the investment or the financings that we offer to the public, to the lenders, is the property. And you know that the property is quite safe in terms of the quality of the assets, because if you look at Indonesia itself, the needs of the housing is quite huge. Because we know that from the industry, from the publications that announced by the Ministry of Housing, we have like 15 million of backlog in the housing sectors. It's quite huge. And you know that just for 2022, if we look at the data itself, basically there is 16% of the increase in the housing needs. But actually the developers, they're only able to cater perhaps like 4 to 5% just in annual basis.
Okay.
So you just look at the gap here, it's very huge. So it creates the needs actually for the people to finance the housing, and of course from the lenders, from the investors, it offers an attractive opportunity for them to put their money in. Yes.
And I can speak from personal experience that despite the pandemic, the real estate business continues to grow over the past several years as well. Now, let's talk about the yield. When it comes to Danasyariah, how can Danasyariah itself promise high yields to the lenders?
Perhaps I have a question for you, Paul.
Sure.
So you save your money in the time deposit?
Yes, I have a couple.
So what's the return for the time deposit?
At most, I would say that recently I found one for 7%, but that is much, much higher than I've been receiving over the past couple of years, which is usually below 5%.
Yes, correct. And then if you look at the the reason of the investment offered by the Ministry of Finance, the retail bonds, they offer like 5 to 6%.
Correct.
But because, as I mentioned earlier, because the needs for the housing sectors is big, and then the quality of the assets they offer in the sector is quite safe, so it can offer like 17 to 20%. 17 to 20%.
Double. All right.
And then because we just focus on the primary housing, what we mean with the primary housing is that when the developer develops the houses, basically they just develop for the primary buyers, for the first-time buyers.
Correct.
And because they offer for the first-time buyers, the return, actually what they offer is higher than the secondary market. Just for the primary housing sectors, they offer like almost 20-25% at the best performance. So you can imagine the return that we offer from these sectors actually. Yeah.
And what has the fluctuations been like when it comes to these returns? Does it fluctuate quite a bit, or how stable is it?
So the fluctuations probably, between like 10 to 20%.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the, like the economic condition, just like, during the pandemics. Probably there is, like a downturn in the demands of the people, but actually it already, like a bounce back afterwards. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's funny because I mentioned personal experience. I sold a house during the pandemic, and I was surprised at how quickly it sold, and I was surprised at how little I had to compromise on the price. In fact, I didn't have to compromise on price at all, which showed me that there is still a need for young families to look for homes, and construction never did stop throughout the pandemic as well. So the housing market continued to grow as well. So Danasyariah bills itself as a low-risk business. Low risk is a term that borrowers and lenders love to hear, obviously. So what type of risk mitigation measures are in place right now to manage my funds if I'm a lender?
Yeah, of course. We have, like a team dedicated to assess the project itself. So basically, there are two levels of the assessments that we do in Danasyariah Indonesia. First, at the first level, we assess the entity or the entrepreneurs. Because, these developers, they can come to us, the entity or the companies, or probably they come to us as, like the personal developers or individual developers. So
so it doesn't have to be like a large-scale construction.
No,
it can
not
be
necessarily.
Personal, private developers as well. Okay,
not necessarily. So what we do is that we look at the, probably they have, the permits, and then probably they have to, renew their structures of the companies. And then if individual entrepreneurs, then they must have, like a track record in the previous business.
Right.
So that's the first level. And then the second level, we look at the project itself. And you know that if you look at the recent issues of the fraud in the housing sectors, it's basically that, probably these investors or these people, they don't really assess the legalities of the projects, of the lands, of the sites. So that's what we do, because we have the dedicated team. So we have the field surveyor. So these field surveyors will come to the projects and then look at the existing of the sites, look at the existing of the projects, whether the project is ongoing or not. Or probably they don't really, use the funds that we disburse to them. So basically, that's what our teams do. So that's why we ensure the securities and the quality of the financings that we offer to the people. And as I mentioned earlier, of course, the projects, the investment or the funding that the people put on us is backed by the fixed collateral. Not like, the other types of the collateral, perhaps like vehicles, cars.
Right.
These are the moving assets, right? So for this housing, for the property, it's some immovable assets. So that's why it's not really easy for the people to do the fraud.
Right.
Because, the collateral is always there. And then, for example, if you don't trust us, then we will offer you to come to the projects.
Oh, so you can actually see it for yourself.
Yeah, right. So interesting, right? So you can come to our office, or you can contact our customer service. Then we will, liaise with the project owners, and then we will, come with you, with company to the projects to look at the projects by yourself.
Is this during the assessment stage, or at any time a lender can do this?
Normally, the lenders, our clients, will have, the attentions after the financing disbursed to the project owners.
All right.
So they want to know whether the project is really, ongoing.
Going according to plan.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, and that's very interesting as well, because, when it comes to examples you mentioned, for example, vehicles, I mean, those are assets that depreciate over time as well anyway, where the opposite is true when it comes to real estate and construction projects. So let's talk about the process itself. Who is eligible to join Danasyariah as a lender, and how easy or difficult is the process from start to when you actually become an official lender?
Yeah, actually the opportunity is open for everyone.
Okay.
So we open for the individuals, we open for the institutions. So as I mentioned, our motto is that, you can invest or you can fund, you can put your funding into us, as easy as, you do the online shopping.
Okay, right.
So
right through your phone.
Yeah, you just sit and relax and look at your gadget. And then, when you do the KYC or onboarding process, you just prepare your IDs, and then you just make sure that your gadget has a camera on it, because during the onboarding process or KYC process, you have to take your pictures with your IDs, and then after that, probably not more than a day, our team will do the the assessment of your eligibility. Then there you go. Okay. You just can start your investment and your funding, and then after that, with as much as 1 million rupiah, you can start your investment.
Okay.
And if you want to do the top up, then you can do at 1 million as well. Yeah.
Okay, so as a lender, is it part of the decision-making process of the lender to choose the projects, or does Danasyariah offer several different projects for us to choose from? Is it Danasyariah's decision to decide which is the best project suitable for my needs?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, actually, you can just look at your gadget, and then you just can screen, all the options of the projects that we put on the applications.
Okay.
So basically, if you just go, like the online commerce, like the Tokopedia, then you just can, you look at, the products that they offer, right? So basically, it's same. Okay. So probably we just put the housing or the projects that we have in Cibinong or in Surabaya. Then you just can opt, this project as, based on your appetite. Okay. So perhaps you just want the projects that are around Jakarta because you want to, visit the projects not far from your home, for example. Then you can do as well. Yeah.
So what sort of information, apart from, I assume, pictures and locations, what other information is available as I'm screening through the available projects for me?
Yeah, so typically what we can find on our application is that the locations of the projects, and then, the amount of the capital that we require for the projects, and then this is very important, the grade of the project. What we mean with the grade is that basically the grade that we put on the projects will tell you the risk of the investment, because not all the projects have the same degree of risk. Okay. So as I mentioned, that we have the team, right, that assess the projects. So based on the assessment, then they will inform you the risk level.
I see.
So we have the risk level like A, B, and C.
It's like a school grading system.
Yeah, correct. Or just like if you invest in bonds, you see the ratings, right? Triple A, triple B. So basically same. That's what we put in our projects that we offer in our applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously very informative and easy to use. Now, why did Danasyariah choose a Sharia compliant business model as opposed to a non?
Of course, when you want to invest, you want to find an ethical investment, right? So you want to invest in ethical business, and then of course while you invest, you also want to benefit for the social at large. So that's why what the Sharia implies. Okay. Yeah. So that's why we use the Sharia in our scheme, in our investment scheme, because of that ethics reason. And then the second one is because that we serve the Muslim population here in Indonesia, that Muslim populations makes up of the most of the people here. So that's why it's easier for them to digest the concept of the investment itself. And if you look at the development for the last 10 years, there is inclinations of the of the people, especially the Muslims people in Indonesia and also in other parts of the world. They want to see more investment options based on the Sharia principle. Right. So that's why we come with the solutions. And then if you look at the fintech or P2P financing in Indonesia nowadays, we have like 102 peer-to-peer financings, and only seven are the Sharia-based peer-to-peer financings. Okay. And what us quite unique just from the 7 peer-to-peer financing that based on the Sharia principle, only one that focus on only property or housing sectors.
Which is Danasyariah.
Danasyariah Indonesia, yeah.
Right, indeed. So 2023 is upon us. We are well into our first month. What are your hopes, Pak Toto, for Danasyariah in this coming year and in the future as well?
Yes. We hope that, with our propositions that we offer to the people, we offer to the country and nation, we can contribute more. First, we can contribute more for the, provisions of the housings for the people in Indonesia. And then second one, that nowadays we have very limited investment options that offer attractive return. So now we try to come with this offering to the people, to the investors. They can, look at our investment opportunities that we offer. As I mentioned, it's quite attractive, it's quite safe, and we back, with very talented and experienced people. Our shareholders, they have a long track record of experience in the housing and property sector. Right. So we hope with these two options, with these two offerings or propositions, we can serve the lender and we can serve the borrowers. And of course, for the lenders, they have more options now because now they can look at the property and housing industry, and then they can utilize our Sharia scheme if they have concern in the Sharia.
Right, a win-win situation for all. Pak Toto, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, and we hope that you found this discussion insightful. I'd like to thank Pak Toto, Business Director for PT Danasyariah Indonesia, for joining us. In the meantime, we are up for another short break, but don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. If you haven't already, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at CToday News. We'll be right back.
Ayo Hijrah Finansial.